The final curtain has officially fallen on Outlander, leaving behind a legacy of unforgettable romance, epic historical drama, and a void that fans around the globe are struggling to fill. While Sam Heughan and Caitríona Balfe step away from Fraser's Ridge after more than a decade together, both actors have opened up about the end of an era and the deeply personal loss they are both experiencing now that filming has wrapped. While fans grieve the end of Jamie and Claire's story, Heughan and Balfe revealed that the hardest part of moving on isn't just saying goodbye to the characters, but losing the daily presence of each other and their tight-knit crew. When you spend 12 hours a day, 6 days a week with someone for over 10 years, they become your constant. The scariest thing about it being over is the silence. You wake up and suddenly that partner who was always there to share the tough shoot days, the jokes, and the cold Scottish rain just isn't across from you in the makeup trailer anymore. For both stars, the heartbreaking reality of post-Outlander life isn't about the glamorous red carpets or the high-stakes drama. It's the simple, everyday camaraderie of their off-screen bond. The two formed an unbreakable friendship during their time in Scotland, becoming each other's ultimate support system through the grueling production schedules. Now, as they pivot to new projects and separate paths, the transition has proven bittersweet. Both admitted that despite looking forward to new beginnings, missing that effortless connection and shared history is something no new acting role can easily replace. For the millions of fans who grew up alongside Jamie and Claire Fraser, hearing the cast reflect on their deep connection only underscores how special the series truly was. The show may be over, but the bond between its leads and the memory of their extraordinary journey will clearly endure far beyond the final frame. There are some television shows you enjoy, and then there are shows that become part of your life. For more than a decade, Outlander was that kind of show for millions of people around the world. Every season brought us back to Jamie and Claire. Every episode gave us another reason to laugh, worry, cry, or simply sit quietly and take in the story. And now, it's over. The final season has aired. The last chapter of Jamie and Claire's television journey has been told. And for Sam Heughan and Caitríona Balfe, the people who spent more than a decade bringing these characters to life, the feeling of loss is very real. They aren't simply saying goodbye to two fictional characters. They're saying goodbye to a world they lived in for years. They're saying goodbye to the people they worked with. They're saying goodbye to familiar locations. They're saying goodbye to routines that had become normal. And perhaps most importantly, they're saying goodbye to a partnership that helped define both of their careers. That's why their recent reflections about the end of Outlander have touched fans so deeply. Because when you listen to Sam and Caitríona talk about what the show meant to them, there's a common feeling underneath everything. They miss the people, they miss the experience, and they miss the extraordinary life they had while making Outlander. 12 years is a long time. Think about 12 years of your own life. A lot can happen in that amount of time. Children can grow up, families can change, people can move across the country, friends can come and go, careers can completely transform. For Sam Heughan and Caitríona Balfe, an enormous part of those 12 years was spent inside the world of Outlander. Balfe first stepped onto the Outlander set in 2013, before the first season even premiered. She eventually spent roughly a quarter of her life playing Claire Fraser. In a 2026 interview with Elle, Balfe described the series as a massive and defining part of her life. She explained that the show gave her a career and changed the direction of her life in ways she could never have predicted. That's a powerful thing to say, because it shows just how deeply Outlander became connected to her life. It wasn't simply a job. It changed where she lived. It affected her career. It brought important people into her life, and it created friendships that lasted for more than a decade. And then there was Sam. Of course, one of the most important people in that journey was Caitríona. From the very beginning, Sam and Caitríona were the heart of the show. Jamie and Claire were supposed to feel believable. Their relationship had to survive enormous challenges, and the audience had to believe that these two people would continue choosing each other, even when everything around them seemed determined to pull them apart. That required trust between the actors. It required years of working together, and over time, that professional partnership became a genuine friendship. Balfe has spoken warmly about that friendship, describing it as one of the things she is most proud of from the entire Outlander experience. That's especially meaningful now, because the show is finished. The cameras have stopped. There are no more regular Jamie and Claire scenes waiting to be filmed, but the friendship remains. The final goodbye wasn't simply a scene. For viewers, the finale was an emotional television event. For the actors, it was much more personal. They had already filmed their final scenes years before the audience saw them, so they had to live with the knowledge that the ending was coming long before fans did. Balfe has spoken about filming her final scenes with Ewan and how emotional that experience became. And when the final moments arrived, the emotion wasn't simply acting. There was the knowledge that something real in their lives was ending. The people who had spent years working together were reaching the end of an era. That's why the final goodbye hit differently. The audience was saying goodbye to Jamie and Claire. The actors were saying goodbye to Jamie and Claire too, but they were also saying goodbye to a huge part of their own lives. What do they miss most? This is where the story becomes especially touching. When people think about what actors might miss after a successful television show ends, they often imagine the obvious things: the costumes, the sets, the locations, the attention, the travel, the red carpets. But listening to Balfe talk about Outlander gives us a different answer. She talks about the people, the relationships, the experience, the family that formed around the production. And that makes perfect sense. A television set isn't just a workplace when you're there for 12 years. The people around you become part of your daily life. You see the same faces. You know the crew. You share difficult days. You celebrate good days. You laugh between takes. You help each other through exhausting schedules. And eventually, those people become something close to family. That's what makes saying goodbye so difficult. A family that can't simply be recreated. One of the most emotional aspects of the Outlander experience was the size of the journey. This wasn't a short production. It wasn't one movie that took 6 months to make. It was years, seasons, hundreds of episodes. More than 100 episodes were eventually produced, and the cast and crew changed and grew together throughout that process. Balfe has spoken about feeling proud of what they created over the decade. She also talked about how the show became a defining part of her life. That word, defining, really says everything. When something becomes a defining part of your life, you don't simply walk away from it one Friday afternoon. You carry it with you. You remember it. You miss it. And sometimes you probably wish you could go back for just one more day. The thing fans may be missing too. There's another part of this story that shouldn't be overlooked. The actors aren't the only ones experiencing this sense of loss. The fans are too. For 12 years, Outlander gave viewers something to look forward to. There was always another season, another episode, another Jamie and Claire adventure, another interview, another photograph, another behind-the-scenes moment. Now, that weekly rhythm has changed, and that's difficult. For longtime viewers, Outlander may have been part of their routine for years. Maybe you watched it with your husband. Maybe you watched it with your sister. Maybe you introduced it to your daughter. Maybe you watched every episode alone because it was your little escape at the end of a long day. Whatever your reason, the show became part of your life too. So when Sam and Caitríona say goodbye, fans feel like they're saying goodbye alongside them. Sam Heughan's perspective. Sam has also spoken openly about the emotional weight of finishing the series. For him, Jamie Fraser wasn't simply another role. Jamie became the character most closely associated with his career. He played him for years. He grew alongside him. He experienced enormous professional success because of him. And now, for the first time in more than a decade, he has to look ahead without knowing that another season of Outlander is waiting. That's both exciting and frightening. An actor can dream about leaving a long-running role behind, but when the moment actually arrives, it can be surprisingly emotional. Because even if you're ready for something new, you can still miss what you're leaving behind. The strange feeling of going home. Imagine spending years traveling to the same place for work. You know the roads, you know the buildings, you know the people, you know where everything is. Then one day, you're told you're not coming back. That's what ending a long-running series can feel like. The world you knew doesn't disappear completely, but your place inside it changes. For Sam and Caitríona, Scotland will always be connected with Outlander. The landscapes, the castles, the production locations, the costumes, the accents, the music, and of course, the people. All of those memories are now part of their history. But there's something beautiful about that. As sad as this ending is, there is something beautiful about it. Not every actor gets the opportunity to spend more than a decade with a character. Not every television show creates a global community. Not every cast develops friendships that survive beyond the production. And not every story becomes as meaningful to audiences as Outlander did. So perhaps the sadness is proof of how special the experience was. You don't miss something deeply unless it mattered deeply. What happens to Sam and Caitríona now? This is where the story becomes hopeful, because the end of Outlander is not the end of their careers. It's the beginning of something new. Caitríona is already moving forward. She has expanded into producing and directing, and she is taking on new acting projects. One of her upcoming projects is Ascension, an Apple TV Plus psychological thriller executive produced and co-written by Alfonso Cuarón. She also has other films on the horizon. That's exciting because audiences will finally get to see her outside Claire Fraser. For years, she was Claire. Now we get to discover what Caitríona can do next. And Sam has the same opportunity. Jamie Fraser will always be a huge part of his legacy, but he has already demonstrated that he wants to explore different kinds of work. From film to television to his work with My Peak Challenge, Sam has built a career that extends far beyond the Scottish Highlander. Could they ever work together again? Of course, fans have one question. Could Sam and Caitríona ever reunite? There is no confirmed new project starring the two of them together, but that doesn't mean fans have to stop dreaming. They could appear together at future Outlander events. They could participate in an anniversary celebration. They could sit down for another interview. Or perhaps someday they could choose to work together on something completely unrelated to Outlander. Imagine that. No Jamie, no Claire, no time travel, no Fraser's Ridge, just Sam and Caitríona playing completely different characters. It could be fascinating, and it would give audiences a chance to see whether their chemistry works just as beautifully outside the world of Outlander. The biggest misunderstanding. But there's one thing fans should remember. Missing someone doesn't automatically mean romance. Being close doesn't automatically mean a secret relationship. And having extraordinary chemistry on screen doesn't mean the same relationship exists in real life. Sam and Caitríona can care deeply about one another as friends and longtime colleagues. In fact, that may be exactly what makes their friendship so special. They don't need to become Jamie and Claire in real life. Jamie and Claire already gave us their love story. Sam and Caitríona get to have their own lives, and fans can respect that while still celebrating their friendship. The legacy of Jamie and Claire. Even though the series is over, Jamie and Claire aren't going anywhere. They exist every time a fan starts the first episode again. They exist in the books. They exist in fan communities. They exist in photographs. They exist in memories. And they exist in the careers of the actors who brought them to life. That's something no finale can take away. The last episode may have aired, but the story will continue to be discovered by new viewers for years. Someone who has never watched Outlander may start season 1 next week, and for that person, Jamie and Claire's story will feel brand new. That's the wonderful thing about television. The actors move on, but the stories remain. So maybe this is what they're really missing. So if we step away from the dramatic headlines for a moment, perhaps the thing Sam and Caitríona are missing isn't one particular person or one particular scene. Maybe they're missing the life they had together, the familiar faces, the shared jokes, the long days on set, the excitement of another season, the feeling of knowing exactly where they belonged, the strange little routine that becomes normal after 12 years. That's what people miss when a major chapter ends. Not necessarily one thing, a whole world. And that's something longtime fans can understand. Because in our own lives, we've all had moments when something ended and we realized we weren't just missing the event, we were missing the people. We were missing who we were during that time. We were missing the feeling. And perhaps that's exactly what makes the end of Outlander so emotional. A goodbye that doesn't have to be forever. The beautiful thing is that goodbyes don't always mean forever. Sam and Caitríona aren't disappearing, they're simply moving forward. Caitríona has new stories to tell. Sam has new adventures ahead. And somewhere in the middle of all that, there will always be Outlander. There will always be Jamie and Claire. There will always be the memories of Scotland. And there will always be the friendship that came from spending 12 extraordinary years together. So maybe instead of saying it's over, we should say that chapter is over. And there's a big difference, because chapters end. Stories continue. To every Outlander fan watching this, if you've been watching since season 1, you know exactly why this hurts. You didn't simply watch Jamie and Claire, you grew with them, you waited for them, you worried about them. And sometimes you probably cried over them. Now the story has reached its final page. But you don't have to put the book away forever. You can open it again whenever you want. And perhaps one day, Sam Heughan and Caitríona Balfe will sit together again and remember those early days. They'll laugh. They'll tell stories. They'll remember the people they worked with. And maybe they'll realize something that fans already know. They didn't just make a television show. They created a memory that millions of people will carry for the rest of their lives. So yes, Outlander is over. And yes, there is something heartbreaking about that. But there is also something beautiful. Because after 12 years, Jamie and Claire's story belongs to television history. And Sam Heughan and Caitríona Balfe get to carry everything they learned from that experience into whatever comes next. Maybe that's the real thing they're missing. Not just the show, not just the characters, but the people, the laughter, the routine and the family they built along the way. And honestly, isn't that what we all miss when a special chapter of our lives comes to an end? So tell me, in the comments, what do you miss most about Outlander? Is it Jamie and Claire? The Scottish scenery? The incredible cast? The music? Or simply having a new episode to look forward to? And would you love to see Sam Heughan and Caitríona Balfe work together again someday? Let me know. And if you've been part of the Outlander family all these years, please subscribe and stay with us, because the show may be over.